The stars above Mars shimmered like silent witnesses. Warships hovered in orbit, their hulls marked with the flag of Earth Defense Force. Red dust swirled beneath as dropships descended, engines screaming through thin air. Inside command ship, Vanguard, Commander Elias Gray, stood at the center of the war room. His face was hard, eyes fixed on the live feed from the Martian surface. Red soil, black rocks, and in the middle, an alien artifact, half buried, glowing faint blue. "This wasn't on any scan," said Major Rena Hayes, watching the footage. "It wasn't meant to be found," Gray replied. He leaned forward. "Get Titan Squad ready. They go in now." An officer turned. "Sir, the site is emitting radiation, unknown type." "I don't care if it sings lullabies." "We move." His voice dropped lower. "Before someone else does." Down on Mars, Titan Squad touched down in a storm of dust and wind. 6 elite commandos, handpicked from Earth's best. Captain Dax led them. Tall, quiet, deadly. They approached the artifact slowly. The glowing grew stronger with every step. "This thing feels wrong," muttered Sergeant Lena Voss. Her hand hovered over her rifle. Dax nodded. "Scan it." Private Kellen aimed a scanner at the object. The display flickered, overloaded, then died. "What the—" A shockwave blasted out from the artifact. The ground cracked beneath their boots. The blue light surged into the sky. On the command ship, alarms blared. "Energy spike," shouted an officer. "It's off the charts!" Commander Gray's voice boomed over the squad's comms. "Titan Squad! Report! Static!" Then Captain Dax answered, his voice unsteady. "We're still alive, but something's changed. I feel—" Awake. Above them, a dark shape moved in space. A massive alien vessel, hidden in deep orbit, came to life. "Unknown ship," shouted radar techs. "It's moving toward us." Gray's eyes narrowed. They were waiting for this. They knew. He turned to his crew. "Battle stations. Lock weapons. I want that ship burning before it gets in range." The EDF fleet scrambled into formation. Missiles launched. Lasers cut through the void. But the alien ship didn't fire back. It sent a transmission. The screen filled with the face of a reptilian alien captain. His skin was cracked and ancient. His eyes were wide with fear. "We didn't mean to break it," he said, shaking. "We just wanted to study the seal, but it's too late. They're remembering. You're kind. We sealed you for a reason." Gray stepped forward. "What are you talking about?" The alien swallowed. "Humans. You were gods of war. Long ago you nearly destroyed the galaxy, so we sealed your true nature, locked it away, made you forget." The transmission cut out. The alien ship began to flee. EDF ships chased, but it was gone in seconds, vanished into deep space. On Mars, Titan Squad stood around the artifact. It was broken open now, empty inside. A deep humming filled the air. Dax looked at his hands. His skin glowed faintly, veins like rivers of light. He wasn't the only one. "I feel strong," whispered Private Kellen. "Too strong, Commander." Gray arrived hours later, personally landing near the site. The ground was scorched. The air smelled like ozone and dust. "You all right?" he asked. Dax didn't answer at first. Then he met Gray's eyes. "Something in me remembers. Fights I never had, wars I never lived, but they feel real." Commander Gray looked at the artifact. "This thing woke something up," he said, "and the galaxy already knows." They returned to orbit. Medical scans showed strange changes. Brain activity in unused regions, enhanced muscle density, new strands of DNA activating. Titan Squad wasn't fully human anymore. Or maybe they were finally fully human again. In the war room, Gray faced. "Admiral Keller through secure hololink. You're telling me we're turning into monsters?" Keller asked. Gray shook his head. "No. We're turning into what we were before someone clipped our wings." Keller rubbed his forehead. "What if this is why they sealed us? What if the humans we were can't be controlled?" Gray's eyes were cold. "Then we better decide who controls it, us or them." Elsewhere in deep space, an alien council gathered. They had sealed humanity long ago, after the last Titan War. But now the seal was broken. "They will come," said a council elder, "and this time we may not survive." Back on Earth, small changes were spreading. Soldiers near Titan Squad began showing signs of awakening. Quick healing, stronger reflexes, strange dreams. In a training facility, Private Kellen lifted a tank with one arm, without thinking. "Something's wrong with me," he whispered. Captain Dax approached. Or maybe everything's finally right. Commander Gray called a full lockdown. The artifact was moved to a deep vault. Scientists, generals, and leaders all argued about what to do, but it was too late. The power inside humanity was rising. Then the first alien strike came. A stealth cruiser entered the solar system, firing plasma bursts at EDF ships. They didn't come to fight. They came to erase the awakened ones. The cruiser reached low orbit above Mars, but Titan Squad was waiting. Gray stood on the command deck. "Let's show them what they woke up." The EDF fired a wave of missiles. The cruiser dodged them all, until Dax teleported aboard the enemy ship. Not with tech, but raw will. Energy burst around him like a star. He tore through steel walls like paper. His squad followed, unstoppable. In less than 3 minutes, the alien cruiser was a floating ruin. The galaxy saw the footage. Billions watched as 6 humans destroyed a ship meant to conquer planets. One alien emperor whispered, "They're back." But Earth was divided. Some saw Titan Squad as heroes, others as a threat. Gray gave a speech to the United Earth Council. "We didn't choose this. They chose it when they sealed us. We have a choice now. Hide from it or lead it." Admiral Keller finally approved Titan Protocol. Elite soldiers would be trained to handle awakening, but not everyone would awaken peacefully. That night, a general tried to assassinate Dax in his sleep. The bullet stopped mid-air, melted in front of his face. He didn't move. He didn't need to. The next morning, Commander Gray visited Dax. "You okay?" he asked. Dax nodded slowly. "We're changing, Commander, but we still follow orders." Gray smiled. "Good, because I've got a new one." He looked out at the stars. "Get ready. The real war hasn't even started." The stars above Earth burned brighter now, not because the galaxy was watching, but because humanity was finally watching back and remembering exactly who they were. The air was cold inside the medical wing of Vanguard. Captain Dax sat quietly watching the scanner above his head. It flickered again, just like before. The doctors whispered near the door. "We ran the tests twice," said Dr. Ellen Rowe. "He's changing. Brain activity is 10 times normal. Muscle growth, perfect healing. He's not just enhanced, he's something else now." Commander Gray stood beside her, arms crossed. "This isn't evolution, it's memory," he said. "They're remembering what it means to be human." Down in the gym, Sergeant Lena Voss threw a metal dumbbell across the room by accident. It hit the wall, sank deep into the steel, and cracked the surface. She froze. "I didn't even try." Private Kellen stared at his own hands. Last night they had glowed. His skin had burned with blue fire, but no pain, only power. "I dreamed. Again," he told Lena. "A battlefield. 10,000 stars in the sky. I was flying without a ship." Lena nodded. "I saw it too. Giant machines. Armies kneeling before us. Do you think it's real?" he asked. She didn't answer, but deep down, she believed it. So did they all. Back in orbit, Admiral Keller's flagship connected to Vanguard through encrypted signal. "What you're describing," Keller said, voice heavy, "matches ancient warnings from the Council archives. Humans once ruled, before we had records, before the seal. They were gods of war." Gray's eyes narrowed. "And you never told us?" Keller shook his head. It was forbidden knowledge. Even Earth's own leaders were kept in the dark. Gray stared at the footage of Titan Squad, glowing eyes, psychic flashes, impossible strength. "Well," he said, "the dark just got lit." Across the galaxy, panic grew. Alien races began preparing for war. Old alliances were reactivated. Giant fleets moved into deep space, far from their planets. far from the reach of Earth's new Titans. Inside the Vanguard, something stranger was happening. Titan Squad no longer needed sleep. Their injuries healed in seconds. Even their voices began to change. Deeper, calm, powerful. Commander Gray met with them in the war room. "You've all changed. You know it. I'm not asking for loyalty as your commander. I'm asking as a human being. Are you still with us?" Dax looked at him. His eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "We're still soldiers. Just remembering a different kind of war." Suddenly, alarm screamed across the command deck. "Unidentified ship incoming," an officer shouted. "It's fast, very fast." The alien ship was sleek, black, and silent. It didn't fire. It didn't respond to hails. It hovered near the moon, then released a single escape pod. Commander Gray ordered it recovered. Inside the pod was a dying alien. His body burned, skin peeling. "I came to warn you," he gasped. "They're coming. The ones who built the seal." Gray leaned in. "Who are they?" The alien coughed blood. "Not aliens, not gods, your ancestors." Everyone froze. "What?" The alien's eyes dimmed. "They sealed themselves to save the stars from what you were becoming. Then he died." The room went silent. Commander Gray stood still. The thought hit him hard. The seal wasn't placed on humanity by others. It was placed by humanity itself. Why would we do that to ourselves? Lena asked. Gray answered slowly. Because maybe even gods feared what we were becoming. That night something changed again. Titan Squad stood together in silence on the observation deck. Without a word, they all looked at Earth. A single thought passed between them, not spoken, not planned. We remember, not with words, not with images, but with power. Captain Dax closed his eyes. His body began to glow, his outline sharper, brighter. A ripple of energy pulsed through the glass. Private Kellen knelt down, holding his head. "I hear voices," he whispered. "Our voices. From before." Commander Gray watched from a distance. They were no longer just soldiers. They were becoming something more. But not everyone saw it as a blessing. The Earth Security Council called an emergency session. Political leaders argued over what to do with Titan Squad. "They're dangerous," one shouted. "What if they turn against us?" "We need them," another replied. "The galaxy is ready to strike." In secret, a Black Ops team was formed. Project Silence. Its mission: contain the Titans, if needed, or destroy them. But it wouldn't be that easy, because the Titans were already steps ahead. In the shadows of the ship, Sergeant Voss whispered to Dax, "Someone's watching us." "I know," he replied. "We're being tracked. They won't get far." Later that night, a stealth drone was found melted in the Titans' quarters, crushed into powder without a scratch on the walls. The message was clear: you can't hide from war gods. Meanwhile, Commander Gray made his own choice. He met with Admiral Keller face-to-face aboard the EDF flagship. "We can't run from this," Gray said. "If we try to stop them, we'll fail. But if we lead them, maybe we have a future." Keller didn't speak for a long time. Then he nodded. "Then prepare Titan Protocol Phase 2. If the universe fears us, let's give them a reason." Next morning, Dax walked into the training yard. There were new recruits waiting. Soldiers. Young, scared, curious. Dax stood in front of them, silent. Then he spoke, his voice calm, deep, commanding. "You're not just here to fight. You're here to awaken. And if you're afraid, good. Fear means you still care about the cost." He looked to the sky. Because power like this, it always comes with a price. And above them, the stars seemed to shift, as if something very old was finally watching back. The silence in orbit was shattered. Dozens of unknown signals blinked into Earth's skies. Unmarked ships with no IFF codes, no response to hails. "They're cloaked," said Lieutenant Rhodes on the Vanguard, "but they want us to see them. Now." Commander Gray stared at the tactical display. "They're not here to talk." Moments later, the alien fleet opened fire. Laser beams, plasma waves, kinetic slugs. Every weapon type at once. The Earth Defense Fleet scrambled to shield. Orbit. Command ships deployed countermeasures. But these attackers weren't like before. They weren't scouts or spies. They were executioners. Inside Vanguard's lower decks, alarms screamed. Titan Squad stood motionless as the ship rocked under impact. Captain Dax looked up. They came for us. Sergeant Lena Voss loaded her rail rifle. They think we're still human. Private Kellen's voice was steady. They're wrong. Commander Gray's voice crackled over the intercom. All units, defend the fleet. Titan Squad, hold your position. Do not engage unless I give the order. But it was already too late. One alien strike cruiser broke through Earth's defense grid and dove straight toward Vanguard. It fired a spear of plasma at the hull, punching through 3 layers of armor. Deck 9 exploded in flame. Titan Squad stood unharmed in the burning wreckage. A dozen alien soldiers in black armor dropped in from above. They moved fast, precise. Trained killers. One aimed his pulse rifle at Dax's head and fired. The blast hit him square in the face. The beam scattered like dust. Dax didn't flinch. He stepped forward, grabbed the alien's helmet, and crushed it in one hand. The room erupted in chaos. Lena spun, flipping over 2 attackers and pinning them to the wall with a single thrust of her arm. Kellen blinked and reappeared behind 3 enemies. They dropped instantly, weapons still raised, never knowing what hit them. But this wasn't just a fight. It was a message. You cannot contain what's waking up. On the command deck, Gray watched the internal security feed. "Sir," said Major Hayes, "they're not fighting like humans anymore." Gray's voice was calm. "No, they're fighting like Titans." He tapped the comm. "Titan Squad, permission to engage fully granted. No limits, no holding back." Dax responded instantly. "Understood, Commander." The next 5 minutes were not a battle. They were a massacre. By the time Earth Fleet reinforcements arrived, the alien boarding teams were gone. Bodies floated in the wreckage, many not even whole. Titan Squad stood untouched. Not one injury, not one word spoken. Later, in the medical bay, scans showed more changes. Dax's bones had fused with carbon. Voss's nervous system now reacted faster than Earth's fastest AIs. Kellen had developed something even stranger. He could see glimpses of movement before it happened. "They're no longer guessing," Dr. Rowe whispered. "They're predicting." Gray said nothing, because he already knew what came next. If this much power had awakened in days, what would happen in weeks, far beyond Earth? In a system long abandoned, a massive ship powered up. Not alien, not human. Something else. Something older. Inside the ship, lights flickered on across dusty halls. Walls were covered in ancient writing, symbols. Matching the artifact found on Mars, a voice echoed through the ship, speaking in a forgotten tongue. The Titans stir. Return to the vault. Stop them before memory becomes wrath. Meanwhile, Earth Council grew afraid. A secret meeting was called. All members were shown footage of Titan Squad's assault, how they tore through ships, soldiers, armor. Some wanted to praise them. Others wanted to lock them up. One general slammed his fist on the table. "They're too powerful. What happens when they decide we're the enemy?" Admiral Keller stood, calm and cold. "They already made their choice. They stayed. They protected us." He turned to the group. "The only thing more dangerous than them is turning against them." Still, whispers of a second assassination plan were already in motion. Back on the moon base, Titan Squad trained non-stop. But something new had begun. The memories weren't just dreams anymore. They were visions. Dax stood alone in the simulator. When he suddenly collapsed, he saw now fire, a burning star, planets crumbling, armies made of light and steel, kneeling before someone who looked just like him, only older and wearing a crown made of war. He woke in a cold sweat. Lena ran over. "You saw it too?" Dax nodded. "Something's coming. A war, not just of weapons, a war of identity." Commander Gray met with Dax in private. "I need to know," Gray said. "If we keep changing, are you still with us?" Dax looked him in the eye. "You taught us to be soldiers. You trained us to fight for Earth. That hasn't changed. But you have. Dax didn't deny it. Then make use of it. Because something worse than aliens is out there. Something we used to be. Later that night, Earth's outer sensor net picked up a new signal. One massive ship. No known markings. Speed, impossible. Heading straight for the Sol system. Admiral Keller watched the screen. What is that? Gray answered slowly. A memory. Far in the dark between stars, the ship's voice echoed again. Seal broken. Humanity rising. Send the judges. Lights flared in 12 chambers. Figures began to wake. Not machines, not aliens, but titans. Older than memory. They opened their eyes and saw Earth again. The stars bent. Every sensor on Earth screamed at once. Something was entering the system. Not warships, not a fleet. A single object. Massive. Silent. Alive. Commander Gray stood at the edge of Vanguard's observation deck. The object was not a ship. It was a body, a giant, nearly 100 kilometers tall, floating toward Earth like a dead god in the void. But it was not dead. Its chest glowed faintly, like a fading star. Its armor was broken, cracked, scorched. A single judge stood beside Gray. It is him, the judge said quietly. The 13th. He who sealed the others. The one who chose to forget. Gray's voice was tight. And now, the judge turned. To him. Now. He wakes. Across Earth, power grids surged. Strange storms formed without warning. People began to dream, not their own dreams, but his. Memories. Of fire, of endless wars between ancient humans and other titans. Galaxies torn apart. Stars used as weapons. Humanity had once ruled not with armies, but as gods of destruction. Then the 13th Titan made a choice. Seal it all. Erase the past. Sleep forever. Until now. Titan Squad assembled on the moon base, watching the 13th approach. He's not moving, said Lena. He's thinking, said Kellen. I can feel it. Dax nodded slowly. He's judging. Commander Gray arrived, still in uniform, eyes heavy. I've spoken with the judges. They can't stop him. Why not? Asked Lena. Gray answered, because he outranks them. The 13th entered orbit. He did not speak, but every mind on Earth heard him, like a thought in their bones. Who woke me? Titan Squad stood in formation. Dax stepped forward. I did. Silence. Then, gravity shifted. The ground trembled, and the 13th appeared before them, not as a giant, but in human form. Towering, armored, scarred by war, but unmistakably, one of them. You have power, he said, but no memory. Dax looked him in the eyes. We've seen enough. The 13th looked to Gray. You command them? I guide them, Gray said, but they make their own choices now. The Titan's eyes burned brighter. Then choose. Prove that you are not the monsters we once were. Without warning, he raised a hand, and a war simulation engulfed Titan Squad. Suddenly they were on a burning world. Billions of lives at stake, civilians running. Enemies closing in, but the rules were twisted. Killing enemies strengthened them, but harmed innocents. Saving innocents weakened them, but kept hope alive. Kellen fell first, protecting a family. Lena stood between bombs and a hospital. Dax took every wound meant for strangers. The Titan watched silently. They bled, they suffered, but they refused to become monsters. When the simulation ended, they stood alone on scorched ground, exhausted, trembling, but alive. The 13th stared at them. You chose mercy. Dax looked up. We chose humanity. A long silence. Then, the 13th smiled. For the first time in 10,000 years, high above, the ancient judges bowed their heads. The final vote was cast, 12 for humanity. None against Earth had passed. The eye ship judges vanished, returning to the stars. The ancient ship dimmed, then blinked out of existence, and the 13th Titan turned to Gray. My time is done. Yours begins. He placed a single crystal in Gray's hand. Memory, not all of it, but enough. Then he walked into the sky, becoming stardust in the wind. Titan Squad stood in silence. Kellen finally spoke. Was that our God? Dax shook his head. No, that was our past. Commander Gray stared at the crystal. And now, we choose our future. 3 days after the 13th vanished, Earth's skies were calm again. No storms, no dreams, just silence. Then came the signal. Short, encrypted in a dead human dialect, one that hadn't been spoken in a million years. But the message was clear. Peace is weakness. We remember who we are. You should too. Coordinates followed. A planet far outside known space, Helios 7. In the Earth Defense Command chamber, Admiral Keller stood before the Council. This came from a pre-SEAL human colony, one that didn't lose its memory. Commander Gray stepped forward. They're not allies, he said. They're judging us now. The Council voted. Titan Squad was ordered to investigate. No weapons fired unless provoked, Gray ordered. This is not a war. Not yet. Dax, Lena, and Kellen nodded, but tension was thick in the air. They all felt it. This wasn't like the judges. This was family, forgotten and angry. The journey to Helios 7 took 36 hours through slip space. Titan Squad's dropship broke atmosphere, over a planet of black oceans and red skies. At first, no resistance, no ships, no defense grids, just silence until they landed. Then everything changed. They were met by soldiers, human soldiers, but not like Earth's. These warriors wore armor fused with ancient machines. Their eyes glowed with fire, their minds linked like a hive. A woman stepped forward, tall, sharp-eyed, wearing a command crest made of star metal. I am Archgeneral Selene, commander of the Sovereign Corps. She looked Dax over. You are the ones who chose weakness. We chose peace. Dax replied calmly. Selene scoffed. Same thing. They were brought to a city carved into a mountain of obsidian and crystal. Screens showed simulations. Wars waged across galaxies. Victories. Total control. We never forgot, Selene said. While you slept, we evolved. You locked away our power. We used it, Lena whispered. They built an empire, without memory loss. They kept the fire, Kellen said. Selene looked at Commander Gray. Your decision to kneel before the judges insulted our kind. But we will give you one chance. To do what? Gray asked. To join us, as soldiers, as conquerors, as gods. Back on Vanguard, Admiral Keller monitored every signal. Helios 7 wasn't just one colony. It was a hub, a beacon. Other ancient human colonies were waking up, and not all were peaceful. Inside the mountain city, Titan Squad was given a tour of the core vaults, rooms filled with weapons that didn't just kill. They erased time bombs, mind piercers, star killers. Your mercy, Selene said coldly, is a chain. You call this strength? Dax asked. Building weapons to destroy instead of protect? Selene smiled. No, I call this truth. Later that night, Titan Squad gathered in their chamber. We can't let Earth fall into this, Lena whispered. They want to restart the old empire, Kellen said. The one the 13th Titan ended. Dax nodded grimly. We need to make contact with Gray. Now. But communications were blocked. They were prisoners. That night, Selene made her move. She broadcasted a message across the system, to Earth, to the judges, to the stars. Earth has failed. Their Titans are weak. We will lead now. And with that, she launched her fleets. Hundreds of warships rose from hidden vaults, set course for Earth. But she forgot one thing. Titan Squad was not done. As the fleets launched, Titan Squad broke free, stealing ancient armor from the vault. Not weapons of destruction, but armor designed by the 13th himself. Balanced, controlled. They used it to fight through Selene's city, disabling her power grid. Gray managed to open a channel. Stand down, Selene, he warned. She only laughed. You don't understand. This was never a negotiation. This was a warning shot. As Titan Squad escaped, the skies turned red. Earth now faced a new enemy, not aliens, not judges, but its own kind, those who never forgot war, those who wanted to bring the fire back. Commander Gray watched the screen as fleets approached. They called us weak, he said quietly. Let's show them what strength really looks like. The alarms didn't stop. Across Earth and the moon bases, sirens screamed. The skies filled with red flashes. From deep space, the fleets of Helios 7 arrived. Thousands of warships, built from ancient blueprints, enhanced with forgotten tech. They didn't come to talk. They came to take control. On board Vanguard, Admiral Keller stood stiff, jaw locked. We've got 30 minutes until they breach atmosphere. Commander Gray didn't blink. What about the judges? They've left us to decide for ourselves, Keller replied. They said this is our test, not theirs. Gray turned to Titan Squad, armored and ready. Then it's our turn to answer. Dax stepped forward. Not with fear, and not with surrender. Lena gripped her rifle. Then we hold Earth. Kellen loaded his weapon. Whatever it takes. Helios 7's lead ship, Oblivion Blade, hovered like a mountain of steel in the stars. Inside, Arch-General Celine watched Earth grow. Larger on the view screen, she spoke to her lieutenants. Spare the cities. Capture the command centers. And if resistance rises, crush it. Titan Squad was deployed to Earth's upper orbital line, assigned to the Aegis Ring, a defense platform stretching around Earth like a steel crown. Thousands of automated turrets, hundreds of defense drones, and one squad of awakened Titans. The battle started with silence. Then, light. Helios 7's first wave hit the Aegis Ring like a meteor storm. Earth's defenses lit up. Turrets screamed. Missiles launched. Explosions painted the dark Titan Squad launched from their hangar, jetpacks flaring as they flew into chaos. Dax took down a cruiser's engine with a single pulse blade strike. Lena hacked a drone swarm mid-flight, turning. Them on their own fleet. Kellen protected a falling gunship, shielding it until it crash-landed safely. Commander Gray coordinated every move, voice sharp in the comms. Protect the civilian zones. Block their boarding pods. And do not kill unless you must. We are not them. But the enemy was ruthless. Selene deployed her Warborn, enhanced soldiers with no fear, no pain. They crashed onto the surface of Earth, targeting communication hubs, energy reactors, and orbital elevators. One by one, Earth's outer systems began to go dark. Then, Vanguard itself was hit. Commander Gray stayed behind as the bridge exploded. Fires tore through the control room. His final order before blacking out. Titan Squad, Earth is yours now. Hold the line. Titan Squad knew what that meant. Gray was gone. Earth's command was down, and only they remained between humanity and conquest. They made a plan. Split up. Lena headed to the moon to activate an old orbital cannon left dormant since the seal. Kellen dove to Earth to protect the global AI core. Dax went after Selene herself. The final confrontation happened above Earth. Dax boarded the Oblivion Blade alone, slicing through steel, walls, and energy shields. He reached the bridge. Selene waited for him, already armed, her armor glowing red. You're too late, she said. Earth will bow. Dax didn't draw his weapon. You were like us once. No, she said. I was more. Dax nodded. And now, you're less. They fought, steel against steel, thought against instinct. Selene was faster, stronger, enhanced. But Dax had something she didn't. Control. When she struck to kill, he struck to disarm. When she screamed in rage, he moved in silence. At last, she fell, wounded but alive. He stood over her. It's over. She looked at him through blood and fire. You chose weakness. Dax looked out the window. The Aegis Ring was still standing. The people of Earth had not fallen. No, he said. I chose to protect. Back on Earth, the Helios fleets retreated. Selene was captured, not executed. The Warborn surrendered after her fall. Titan Squad regrouped on the ruins of Vanguard. Commander Gray was pulled from the rubble. barely alive. When he saw Dax, he smiled. Faintly, "You held it." "We didn't win with war," Dax said. "We won by remembering who we are," Gray whispered back. "Then maybe we finally deserve to exist." Selene was locked in a deep core vault beneath Earth's surface, shackled, watched, isolated, but she smiled. Even after losing, even after bleeding. Because she knew something no one else did. Commander Gray stood outside her cell, arms crossed, flanked by Titan Squad. "You lost," Gray said. "Your fleet is broken. Earth stands." Selene looked up. "Then Earth dies next." Kellen frowned. "Another attack?" Selene nodded slowly. "But not by me. By the crownless king." Lena narrowed her eyes. "Who?" Selene leaned forward. "A human. Older than the judges. Older than the seal. He never forgot. He never agreed to peace." Dax's voice was calm but cold. "What does he want?" She answered with one word. Obedience. In Earth Command, old data was unlocked. Hidden files. Forgotten missions. Redacted. Warnings. There had been 12 sealed colonies before, but one was erased from history. A colony so extreme, even the 13th Titan feared it. Sovereign One. It wasn't a world. It was a fortress, built inside a hollowed star, populated by fanatics, humans who believed the galaxy was theirs by right of blood. And at their center was a man who called himself King Morvain, the Undying. Titan Squad stood on the bridge of a rebuilt Vanguard. The hologram showed a twisted blackened star system. "No one's been there in 1,000,000 years, Admiral Keller said. "We thought it was dead." Gray nodded slowly. "But if Morvain's waking up, he'll come for Earth next." Dax looked out the viewport. "We need to move first." The mission was simple. Infiltrate Sovereign One, find proof of Morvain's existence, and get out. But nothing about the place was simple. Titan Squad entered through a shattered wormhole, slingshot through gravity cracks into the heart of a dying star. They found a world shaped like a crown, floating pieces of metal and debris orbiting a black sun. No signals, no life. Then the whispers began. Inside the floating remains, they discovered something chilling. Thousands of humans. Still alive. Still loyal. Still waiting. Each wore a crest of flame. Each knelt before a giant throne made of bones and star metal. The throne was empty. But carved above it were these words: "The king sleeps not. He waits." Lena found the data core. Kellen uploaded the logs. Dax stood at the throne, silent. He felt something move beneath the metal. Not machine, not spirit, but a will, ancient, watching. And then it spoke, not through voice, not through sound, but inside their minds. "You carry the scent of weakness. You speak peace. In a galaxy made for kings." Titan Squad staggered. Lena gasped. "He's not dead." Kellen backed away. "He's in the planet." Dax clenched his fists. "We need to leave. Now." As they escaped, Sovereign One awoke. The black star pulsed. Ships, long dormant, powered up. Beacons lit across the stars. One message sent to every human system: kneel or be erased. Back on Earth, chaos followed. The judges reappeared, unnerved, for the first time. Even they had no power over Morvain, because he had never submitted to the seal. He had found a way to resist the memory lock, to grow, to evolve, to build a kingdom in shadows, and now he wanted it all back. Commander Gray stood with Titan Squad before Earth's new defense wall. "This won't be like Helios," he warned. "This is no rebellion. It's a crusade." Dax stepped forward. "Then we stop a king." Lena loaded her gear. "Or become one." Kellen smiled grimly. "I vote we bring the fire." Above them, far across the stars, a shadow moved behind a black sun, and the king whispered, "Come, my children. Let me show you what humanity was meant to be." A red sun burned over Eden Prime, Earth's oldest colony. A peaceful world, farms, families, Sky cities. Then, the sky tore open, a gate of flame, and through it came a shape like a burning man, wrapped in chains and gold. The first of the kings. Champions. The herald of fire. From Earth, alarms screamed. Titan squad stood before the command screen as Eden's signal went dark. One image remained, flickering, distorted, a giant standing over a crater. Bodies knelt all around it, a voice repeating, "The king has returned. Submit." Commander Gray spoke sharply. "We have less than 48 hours. After that, Eden Prime becomes a fortress world for Morvain." Dax turned to the team. "Then we go now. We don't fight the Herald. We rescue as many as we can. Get them out." Kellen loaded a plasma rifle. "And if the Herald steps in our way?" Lena's voice was calm. "Then we end him." Titan squad launched aboard Vanguard II. As they approached Eden Prime, firestorms raged in orbit, debris from Earth ships. Floating cities turned to ash. But deep inside the atmosphere, thousands still lived, trapped in stasis fields, kneeling, against their will. The team touched down in a ruined park near the capital, children's toys scattered across cracked stone. Lena scanned the horizon. Life signs, underground. That way. Kellen blew the lock off a sealed bunker. Inside, a crowd of civilians huddled in fear, eyes blank, voices whispering, "We must obey." "The flame speaks." Dax snapped them out of it with an EMP flash. The whispers stopped. The people blinked, waking from the trance. Then the ground shook. A roar echoed across the city, and a shape emerged from flame. The Herald. 10 feet tall. Golden, armor fused with black metal, a crown of fire, eyes that burned through steel. "You dare resist the king," it bellowed. Dax stepped forward. "We dare remember who we are." The fight was brutal. The Herald moved like lightning, melting metal, twisting gravity, roaring ancient commands. Kellen was thrown across a plaza. Lena used gravity mines to pin. Hit, only for the Herald to eat the energy and grow stronger. But Dax waited, watched. Then, he moved, straight at the Herald. One blade. One strike, through the eye, into the core. The Herald screamed, exploded in fire, and left only ashes. The trance lifted. Eden Prime's people fell to their knees, this time in freedom, not control. Titan squad evacuated 8,000 civilians off-world. Gray's voice came through comms. "You did it." Dax shook his head. "That was just one." Back on Earth, Celine watched the battle recording. She turned to Gray. "You killed one Herald." He nodded. "There are more." Celine looked grim. 6 more. Each with powers the king gifted. Before the seal, you fought fire. Next comes silence, then hunger, then madness. She looked at the stars. "When they are all here, the king will rise." Above Sovereign One, Morvain's voice whispered across the void. "They resist. Good, it makes their submission sweeter." His hand touched a blade made from the seals. "Remains. Unleash the second herald. Show them silence." Earth's defenses were fully active, orbital cannons, gravity shields, Titan squad on high alert. But something felt wrong. No ships, no explosions, just quiet. Too quiet. On the moon, Admiral Keller reviewed the latest scans. His voice cracked as he whispered, "There was a colony here yesterday. New Titania. Now there was only a blank spot. No debris, no ruins, just nothing, as if it never existed in." "Earth Command, Commander Gray faced the squad. The second herald has arrived," he said. "But we won't see him." Lena frowned. "Why?" "Because he erases." Gray pointed at the star map. Entire regions missing. No fire, no death, just silence. Dax looked up. "We're next." Titan squad launched toward Sector Echo 4, where the last signal was recorded. As they passed through the black zone, one by one, they stopped talking. Not by choice. Their mouths moved, but no sound came. Then, their thoughts began to fade. Names, memories, missions. Dax activated the emergency psychic beacon, one of the last gifts left by the judges. Suddenly their minds snapped back. Clarity returned, but now they saw him, standing in the ruins of an ancient orbital station, tall, faceless, wrapped in torn flags of lost empires, the herald of silence. He raised one hand. Reality bent. Dax dropped to one knee, head pounding. Kellen bled from the eyes. Lena screamed. No sound came. They couldn't fight him with weapons, so Dax made a choice. He opened the judge beacon fully, allowing every memory sealed inside him to return. His training, his history, his bloodline, and the ancient words of the First War. We are the flame that remembers. We are not silent. We are not broken. The herald turned and finally hesitated. Because in Dax, he saw something stronger than silence. Legacy. Dax charged, not with a weapon, but with his voice. He screamed the battle chant of old Earth. We remember. And behind him, Kellen, Lena, even Gray on comms, joined him. We remember. The herald cracked. Light spilled from his form. A second later, he exploded into shards of silence, swept away by memory itself. The blank sectors lit up again. Colonies. Restored. People reappeared. The silence was gone. Earth celebrated, but briefly, because Sovereign One sent one final signal. 2 heralds destroyed. 5 remain. The king rises now. But Earth had changed too. The judges had returned in full. Titan Squad had evolved, and Commander Gray's final words echoed across Earth systems. Let the king come. Let all 7 rise. We are humanity, and we will never kneel again. The stars trembled. From the edge of the galaxy, a massive black storm moved toward Earth. It was not just energy. It was a throne world. Sovereign One was coming, and on its bridge stood King Morvain, wrapped in ancient armor, his eyes glowing, with power untouched by time. He smiled. They killed my heralds. Good, they are ready. On Earth, Commander Gray met with the last surviving judges. Judge Ellen, once silent, finally spoke. The seal is truly broken. You are not just soldiers. Now you are what we were and before peace. Dax, standing beside Titan Squad, felt it in his bones. The old power. Not magic. Not science. Something older. Human instinct. Unlocked. As Sovereign One arrived in Earth's orbit, it blocked out the sun. Morvain sent one message. I am your king. Kneel, and I will spare your world. Titan Squad stood on Earth's defense wall. Dax answered, we don't kneel, we fight. The sky turned red. Sovereign ships, black, spiked, massive, dropped legions of loyalists. Each wore burning crowns. Each screamed in the old tongue, for the blood, for the throne. Earth's forces met them head-on. The final battle had begun. Lena led strike teams in the city. Kellen defended orbital platforms with autocannons. Gray fought in orbit, commanding fleets against sovereign dreadnoughts. And Dax? He boarded Sovereign One. Alone. Inside the dark halls of the king's ship, Dax saw echoes of old Earth, twisted statues, ancient banners, war trophies from before the seal. At the throne, King Morvain waited. You are my blood, the king said. You carry the fire. Join me. Rule with me. Dax stepped forward. No, I carry Earth. They fought. Not just with weapons, but with memories, with identity, with everything Morvain had tried to erase. Dax remembered Earth's first war. He remembered the seal. He remembered why they chose peace. And he struck. Blade through heart. Not to kill, to remind. Morvain gasped. His armor cracked. For the first time in a million years, he looked afraid. I remember. And with that, Sovereign One broke apart. No explosion, just light. Memory released. Across the galaxy, humans woke up, truly awake. No more seals, no more control. Just freedom. Earth stood victorious, but not untouched. Millions had died. Thousands more remembered things they could never forget. Commander Gray gave the final order. Burn the throne, rebuild the world. Titan Squad stood under the stars. The war was over. But humanity had changed, forever. They were no longer dormant gods. They were awake, and they would never be forgotten again. Series complete. Thank you for watching.